interconnected stations. When you partner with iRadio, we'll broadcast your program across multiple locations such as Wow, Awil, Kwajok, Yambio, Bor, Rang, Malakal and Balliet, ensuring maximum coverage and impact.
Regional presence. iRadio footprint extends to the states of Western and Northern Bahr el Ghazal, Western and Central Equatoria, Jonglei, Upper Nile and Warab. By collaborating with iRadio, you can connect with diverse communities and target audiences in these regions.
Community engagement. Partnering with iRadio means engaging with communities at a grassroots levels. Your message will resonate with listeners in various locations, fostering meaningful interactions and driving brand awareness.
Comprehensive coverage with stations in strategic locations like Reng, Malakal and Balliet. iRadio offers comprehensive coverage that reaches both urban centers and remote areas. Your partnership with iRadio ensures visibility across a wide geographic area.
Don't miss out on the opportunity to amplify your message with iRadio. Partner or advertise with us today and make your voice heard across South Sudan.
Welcome to the Sundown Show. On this show, we bring you the movers and shakers of South Sudan and the world over. We engage in debates and discussions that unearth the stories behind the news. And we have our light moments too by chit-chatting about issues that affect our day-to-day life. We stay right here on the Sundown. Join in and be part of the show on iRadio, your eye on South Sudan. The Sundown. For the news, views, opinion, debates and discussions. Listen to who is who talking about issues that affect our country and continent. Only on the Sundown, your eye on South Sudan.
Hello and welcome to the Sundown Show on iRadio with me, Madrama James. Today is Thursday, the 5th of June 2025. Tonight we open the program with an issue that affects everyone of us, our families, our communities and animals and the environment we depend on. Today is World Environment Day, observed every year on June 5th. It's the United Nations' biggest platform for raising awareness and encouraging global action to protect the environment. Each year, World Environment Day focuses on the theme. This year, the call is clear: beat plastic pollution. Plastic waste is choking our rivers, blocking that's a drainage system, polluting the air, and harming both that's wildlife and human health. Here in Juba, the effects are visible. Plastic litters scattered across that's public spaces and water channel, creating health hazards and I saw for that's the city. It's also a time to spotlight solutions, especially those led by the young people who are taking action. Today, I am joined live in the studio by 3 inspiring UNICEF young reporters who are making their voices heard in the climate movement. They are passionate, informed, and committed to making a difference. Let me introduce them to you. First, on that's my left, I'm joined by Foni Atif Issa. He is a 20-year-old that's a medical student at the University of Juba. Okay, and about that's University of Juba and UNICEF young reporter. She is deeply passionate about that's climate change and uses her platform to raise awareness, especially among young people and in academic spaces. Desmond Kennedy, just 15-year-old, is another strong voice in the environmental movement as a UNICEF young reporter. He speaks about the environmental challenges young people face in South Sudan. Naomi is also another 15-year-old. is just a climate activist. She is a recognized voice beyond our borders. She has represented South Sudan twice. That's a COP climate conference supported by Save the Children, where she also served as a young parliamentarian. Welcome all to the studios of iRadio.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Now, to kickstart our show, what is the World Environment Day and why it is celebrated? Let me start with you.
The World Environment Day is an international day dedicated to raising awareness and promoting action to protect the environment.
Okay. Any addition from your side?
The World Environmental Day is an annual global event celebrated on the June 5th. That serves as the United Nations primary platform for raising awareness and promoting action to protect the environment around the world.
Over to you.
They have already said everything, as they said.
And what is so relevant about this year's theme? That's a bit plastic pollution.
It's an urgent call to reduce plastic waste and try to sustain our environment for the future generations.
Okay. And let me now have your perspective on that plastic pollution. Welcome to you.
Okay, my observations on plastic waste is that plastic waste is a preservative in schools, neighborhoods, and homes. Common sites include plastic bottles, bags, wrappers, and discarded food packs. And these are really everywhere today in our country. Young people witness plastic waste accumulating in public spaces, clogging drainage systems, and also harming wildlife. They may have personal experiences of plastic being improperly disposed of at home, at school, or anywhere in the community.
All right. Desmond, as a young reporter, what are your observations, and could you please share with us on that plastic waste on daily basis?
Okay. According to my personal observations, in that side of the area of Muniki, people tend to dump plastic waste when it rains, because usually in that side of the area, when it rains, the water flows by the areas, and when they see, for them it's an opportunity to dump plastic waste, so they tend to get their rubbish and just throw them in the water, which later on brings a lot of disadvantages and problems to the wildlife, the fish in the water, and even the diseases such as cholera. And because some diseases they come due to chemicals of the plastic waste, because not all the plastic waste are pure, and that they contain chemicals that cause diseases.
All right, over to you now, Pony. Yes, Desmond share with us some of his experiences and observations of these plastic waste, and what's your take, more especially in schools? What are some of your observations?
Well, I can say in schools, waste disposal is manageable because there is bins at schools, and there are rules where people are not allowed to litter. It's mostly in marketplaces and in the neighborhoods, like the streets in our neighborhoods. That's where people dispose of a lot of waste, especially plastics, because it's like the leading waste in South Sudan. And these things, they not only drain the water system and causes stagnant water, which is breeding sites for mosquitoes, and it leads to malaria. Some kids might also be playing around those areas, and there might be sharp, rusted objects inside the water, and when kids step on that, it's going to cause for them infections, tetanus, and many other infections.
And Naomi, you represented South Sudan twice at the COP, and you can equally share some of your experiences of that plastic waste management around?
I'm kind of confused here. You mean around the country or globally?
Yeah, you have seen like how South Sudan are, battling with the issues of that plastic waste, and you have attended that COP conference, and you represented South Sudan twice. You have seen the differences, how the Western world are doing theirs, and back home also.
Okay, well, to say is it takes courage, civilization for a place to become a better place, because I believe in South Sudan we can change. We are trying to change, but it's just some people that tend not to change, not to move forward. But in other places, like in the countries that I've gone to, people do dispose waste in the right places, or sometimes if they don't, there are people who can be conscious of the climate, of the environment, and they will do it themselves. And also they have they have people that do collect the garbage from the streets and take them to places where they can be recycled. So it's like globally there are mostly ways of recycling the waste that are known by the public than here in South Sudan. And here in South Sudan we just make it a very useless thing after using it, because we do not know the ways of recycling such things here.
And what would be your recommendation, of course, to the concerned authorities back home here? What should they really do in order also to catch up with the rest of the world?
Well, first of all, I would like to say, urge the government that changing South Sudan is not a very hard thing if we do it collectively, through their support by providing more waste bins, more places where people can secure the waste after using them in their various houses, various communities. It will stop the issue of throwing waste on the roadside. It will stop the issue of burning rubbish anyhowly, and also through teaching our citizens on ways how to recycle such kind of waste into usable things. Like, for example, nowadays we find that models use plastic bottles to redesign their costumes, their attires. These are some of the kind of innovative ways the government should be teaching our citizens today. And also we can use those as flower vases in our houses. We can use them to make other important things. So if the government teaches us how to use such kind of things, it will be very easy for South Sudanese to try hard and fight the issue of waste management, especially plastics. And also, if the government installs strong policies against waste management and standing by it in cases that where any perpetrator will be punished, that will really serve as a warning to the rest.
I'm glad Pony, Naomi, and Desmond, you have shared within the school and the communities how improper waste disposals are happening. Now let's move a little bit further. How is plastic pollution affecting the environment? Because there's already an issue that all of you have talked about, but how is this really affecting the environment? Let me start with Pony.
Okay, first, when people dispose of plastics, over time it accumulates. And when they accumulate during rainy seasons, it's going to clog the drainage system, so it's going to cause flooding. And when that happens, this flooding normally happens in roads that people are supposed to use for walking. Transportation becomes hard, so you have to find other ways to move within the area, which is not supposed to happen. And another thing is, our livestock and other animals can be eating from these plastics, which may cause for them diseases or even death. And as Naomi said about the issue of burning waste, when we burn this waste, especially those plastics, they produce harmful chemicals into the air, which is going to decrease our air quality, and it's going to be harmful for elderly people and especially young children.
Thank you. You have heard Desmond Pony talked of that the issue of that improper waste disposal can cause things like flooding, and life of that livestock at always risk, and chemicals also. Now, in schools and some other places, what do you think can plastic pollution affect the environment as well?
Around Juba global, the whole of Juba, you can see the effects of plastic waste being dumped on the road. I mean, like, it gives not a good image of the country, because in most countries outside abroad, when you go there, you see it's very clean, especially Rwanda. If you go to Rwanda, it's very clean, and most of the people admire it because of its cleanness. So what did they do exactly? It's because they just tend to collect the plastic bags and whatever, they put them in, that they take care of the environment. So taking care of the environment, it gives good look for the country, and Rwanda is now famous because of that, because it keeps its plastic materials out of the country. It gives Rwanda a good look, and people admire it, and people want to go there. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Naomi, you would like to add something? Maybe the two colleagues of yours have left out.
Okay, I would like to add on how we can manage our plastic waste in schools. We can also teach our children or our students in the schools how to manage wastes. Like, for example, Pony said schools are very small institutions that can be manageable. So if you do include waste management in your curriculum, or put it in your day, in your one of your assembly meetings, make it as a point of view, it will really be grateful. It will really be beneficial to the students, because they will learn ways how to protect the environment, not only in the school, but they will take these habits with them into the areas, and they will also adapt to it, and it will also help in teaching other people, other children in the area, other parents, that for real climate change is a thing, and waste disposal is not a very good thing in our community.
You came up with an idea that if possible, school should also come up with the curriculum to tackle this. Now, practical steps the public can also take to reduce that plastic waste. If I can cross over to you, Desmond. According to that Naomi, yes, school have a role to play, and now how can also public come in and take some other measures? Welcome.
Okay. First of all, banning and beating plastic pollution is not just one thing. It's not for one person. It's a collective thing.
Right.
The government is involved, the community, the society, the children, the women, everybody. So what I can say is that, first of all, in terms of the government should or could give policies, like I remember in 2018 or 2015, the government got a policy for banning plastic, one-time use plastic bags. They were like, those type of plastic bags should not be used in South Sudan. Instead, they introduced reusable plastic bags. So if the government could emphasize on that policy and keep it ongoing throughout the country, and maybe assign people who can punish those who are violating the rule, it could help South Sudan at large. And in terms of parents, disposing plastic bags can be, if they buy a bottle of water, they can just take the bottle and dump it in a specific site. Because I remember even city council and Go Green, there's a company named Go Green. They made containers for rubbish around Juba, I think. So if people could just dump their rubbish in those containers instead of just littering it around, it could also help. Thank you.
All right. Now, Pony, to you, like, there were some other measures taken by the government to eradicate the issues of that plastic waste in the streets, but seem like it's not really holding water. What other practical steps the public can also take in order to, manage the waste?
Okay, first we have to lead by example, because most in our communities, not only are there elders, but there are also young children, and young children tend to learn from the elders. So as elders, we should be leading by example, and we should not litter, and teach the young ones proper waste disposal mechanisms so they can learn and they don't come and dispose waste on the streets or in places that they are not supposed to be disposed. And something else is, even if the government fails to implement and stand on the policies that they made on proper waste disposal, we as the community, we can create our own initiatives in order to be having proper waste disposals.
What are those initiatives you'd suggest?
Okay, like in every neighborhood in other countries that I've visited, there is a homeowners association whereby from every household they pick one person and they form a community that is going to be concerned about the well-being of the neighborhood. So they tackle every issue within the neighborhood about and everything. And people collect money from each household in order to make their neighborhood better.
Naomi, do you think that idea is workable here? Like what Pony just said?
Well, I think it is us to embrace it ourselves, because this is a very brilliant idea. As you said before, how do I see the difference between the environment we have here and in other countries? Because sometimes when I look at those places, I feel like we are the ones letting ourselves down. It's not the government that will come and stay in this future forever. It's us. It's your children. They might have their ways of living in proper areas, good areas, but us, we dump waste anyhowly, it will affect us later. We throw rubbish into the seas, it will affect the animals, the fish, and we will not have any of those again. So it is you to take it as your own responsibility if you want a secure future for your kids and for the youth. We cannot only depend on our parents, on the government to do such kind of thing. You as a youth, you should know that this is your future that you're trying to secure, because the more we misuse it today, the more we will suffer the consequences later. Our parents suffered, as currently suffering the consequences of flooding because of burning of too much fossil fuels. Today we are dumping rubbish anyhowly, thinking it's just a one-day thing or generational thing, but it will come and impact our future when we are now the leaders of tomorrow negatively. We will see maybe flooding issues, maybe worse than flooding, issues of climate change will start increasing in our country, which will not be a very good image, because if we had thought of conserving our future, dealing with it or implementing ways to get it in a sustainable way, in a way that our children will enjoy it, so it won't be a very big deal for us to have a sustainable future. But if we don't follow the rules, we don't follow the policies, we believe it's the role of the government. If they get me, what will they do? They cannot see me, I will dump the waste at night, and who cares? People have their different beliefs, but it's upon you as an individual to know that for real what I'm doing is no good. It's going to impact the future of South Sudan tomorrow. It's going to destroy the animals in South Sudan. It's going to kill all the fish in the Nile. So what will the rest of the generation be left with? So it is our responsibility to see into it that we want change in our country, especially in aspects of waste disposal.
Desmond, if you looked or listened to what Pony said, that communities can identify the site and appoint even some other representative to take a responsibility of the waste management. But again, Naomi is saying, unless there is that will, if community can embrace that idea, it will work out. But now over to you, where should really the community start in real term, in practical term, like embracing all these good ideas to make it workable?
I think, according to my perspective, the community should come together. Like there should be one understanding. Like there is in Bullock, there is an individual. his house is next to the river, and in South Sudan the river is the most place for dumping rubbish around town. So the guy at night he could stay up to 9 just watching over those people who are coming to dump rubbish. So if every individual in Juba takes that initiatives to his or herself, I think we could make Juba clean for
All right, now we have a couple of some of our followers online, and Makwe is saying creating jobs by the government to use truck cars to take away waste product and charge the household with amount of that money. That's what is Makwe thinking. But now let me invite Naomi. Do you think it's also good to have this truck along the streets and charge the household at the end of the day in order for them to take up the responsibility? What do you think?
Well, I think it's a very good idea, but now it depends on the type of people you're going to charge, because in South Sudan we are not all of a wealthy background. We have different classes. There are those who can afford, those who cannot afford, those who can barely afford. So it's a really good idea. It could work in some areas, but in some places it can't work. So I suggest maybe it being upgraded to a more reliable source for everyone. Maybe we can favor the communities that do not really afford by giving them strict policies to collect it on their own, and for us households which can afford, but if they are not willing to collect it on their own, then they should be charged.
Okay, Pone, Makwe is saying it's good for the government to introduce a cars and at the end of the day charge the household. But Naomi is saying financially people are not at the same level. Now, what's your take particularly in order to, eradicate the issue of that plastic waste?
Okay, I think Naomi is right. Not everyone can afford that, but I think that's also not a bad idea, because one, it's going to create job opportunities for many more people, because many people are unemployed. And two, even if the government wants to charge money at the end of the day, at least they should charge a reasonable price that everyone can afford, because we also have Juba City Council, right? I think it's their duty to do that. And maybe because not everyone, as Naomi said, not everyone can afford. And if they're going to ask for an amount that everyone can afford, I doubt if it will be enough to cover all the expenses. So it's now the job of the government to maybe help Juba City Council, give them some aid, so this method can be reliable.
What kind of aid?
Monetary.
Okay. Yes, Desmond, what do you have to say there? Two, a good suggestion from Naomi, and we have also Pony on board, and Makwe, particularly to you. Let's also find out your own opinion.
My own opinion is as Naomi said, but it's a bit different. So what I'm going to suggest there, those people who cannot afford the money that is going to be asked from them, they could be made, to work. They should be the one to work. And in after working they could be paid, because they don't have jobs to pay the money. So let them be given the jobs instead, because those people who can afford, they don't much really need the work, but those people who are in need should be focused on, because it also creates job opportunities for them.
Who should give them the work or the job opportunity? The
people who are in charge of the project, because if they bring the trucks and there are going to be people who are working on the trucks. So instead of giving it just to people who can earn money, can get money easily, it should be given to them, because they don't have that money, to pay the people who are going to work. So they should be the one who work instead, and they will just be paid the money,
Sure. I thank you so much, Desmond. Earlier on, all of you shared your perspective that schools, families, and even the people have a responsibility to play. But this time around, let's share it a little bit deeper. Naomi, where do you see the roles of that school in waste management? Then we shall come over to that Desmond.
Well, I think that's a really relevant question because we all, almost 90% of the kids in Juba especially, they do go to school. So where do we start the change from? We can start it by enacting policies by the government, but who listens to the radio stations sometimes? You see, these are questions we should also ask ourselves. Sometimes we can also give other things like getting the perpetrators, putting them into to face their consequences, but how are you going to get the perpetrators? Like for those who are dumping at night and for those who have the skills to do other things illegally. So how are you going to get them? But for change to happen, you have to consider all these kind of questions. Which is your target point? I feel like students are the most ones to be target because why are we fighting for the future today? Why are we fighting for a sustainable future? It's for us, the youth, because not our parents, not the government. They're not going to relive the future. We are the ones who are going to take over. Then do you want to live with those consequences? Not really. So for us to create a better future, I think the best target point should be students and people. Teach them in schools, teach them how to manage waste, teach them, change their narrative from that local narrative they have where they just dump rubbish anyhow, change it into something that will benefit the future tomorrow, will benefit the community, because you know most of the times children do influence each other. You tell a child at school or you sing to a child a nursery rhyme at school, the child will come and sing it to a fellow friend. This is how sometimes you see children who do not go to school but they still learn the same things from others that go to school. You find that they are playing together maybe one or two English words. So we have to target the children mostly. We have to target students. They are the ones who are going to change the difference, because if you teach them different ways and they will adapt to it, they will teach the other generations to adapt to it, it will create a very sustainable future for us where we will not be dumping rubbish anyhow, because even though policies are created and people are not willing to do that, it won't really help. But if we tell the students how it is dangerous, we include it into our curriculum, we teach them how secure their future will be if they dispose rubbish in the right place. Sometimes you find that they will even influence their parents into doing the right things instead of their parents influencing them. Some things happen sometimes because you train a child, that child can also go and train another child. So it becomes a culture in the community where you as an adult cannot even manage to trespass it. So we better teach our children, because as they are growing up, they will change the narrative into a different one, which will create a very good society which is free from plastic waste.
Thank you so much, and I believe your perspective will find a space into the hearts of someone who is listening, or a parent who is listening to this particular show now. Let's put aside the responsibility of that school. Now let's cross over to that family. Desmond, what do you think the family can really do, or what kind of responsibility the family have in terms of that waste management?
Okay. According to me, the families can participate in beating plastic pollution by the following ways. One, household materials like the plastic bags, the banana peels, and those stuff that are collected mostly in a container. They should not be dumped in the rivers, because this is what I see according to my observation. Most of the families in South Sudan are doing. They wait either for rain or at night they carry the household materials, they go and dump it in the river. So if families could just at least understand the effects that come through them dumping the plastic materials, it could help the society at large, because South Sudan is really suffering from plastic waste, especially if you go to the market, to the those populated sites like markets and a lot. So if those families or those parents that are working in the market could also try their level best in not dumping their polythene bags, their plastics and those stuffs, it could help. And there is the second thing is that I see is most of the families, when they go to the shops, the markets, they buy groceries, there is this one-time use polythene bags. So if they could just at least reduce on the rate on which they are using those plastic bags, it could help. In all time ago, you could see parents and families, when they're going to the market, there is this goofer they take to the market. Such things really help the society. So if people could just return to that mindset of going with such, because it's long-term use, you just take it to the market, you buy your things, you put them inside, you come and you remove them. Then the small plastic bags that are got from there for putting the small things, they use for lighting fire. But also it also affects the society. So at least people should reduce on the rate of using one-time use polythene bags. It could help.
All right, Desmond, thank you. There is a saying, youth, of course, the change makers. Now over to you, Pony. What are the responsibility of youth in driving the change?
Okay. The responsibility of youth, one is, as I said earlier, leading by example, because as you cannot expect change without working towards it. So one, you have to lead by example, and the younger generations are going to follow after you.
Explain the example a little bit, deepen.
So as for me, I have younger siblings. So if I'm going to litter up waste everywhere, they are going to follow after me, because they are young and they be learning from the elder people. So if I dispose of waste correctly, they are going to follow my example and also do the same. So that's what I meant by that. And something else is, as youth, we can also, as Naomi said earlier, a child can train another child. Peer influence, you can influence your other friends to dispose of waste correctly.
All right. Dear listener, if in case you have just joined us, you're listening to the Sundown Show with me, Madrama James. Today is World Environment Day, and this day is observed every year on June 5th. And I'm blessed to be joined by inspiring youth, UNICEF young reporters live in the studio here. That's Pony, Desmond, and Naomi. Now let's have our first commercial break of the show. When we come back, pick that cell phone on 0911022986 and call our studio line.
The Ministry of Health is conducting a commemoration of African Vaccination Week with a new vaccine introduction of pneumonia vaccine, targeting all children aged between 6 to 14 weeks. Take your child to the nearest vaccination center during the African Vaccination Week or Big Catch-up campaign.
Good morning, Mama Alice.
Good morning, Mama Ladu. Where are you coming from this morning?
I had taken Ladu for pneumonia vaccination at the health center to protect my child against pneumonia and meningitis. He was also vaccinated with other routine immunization vaccines at no cost. Is baby Alice already vaccinated?
Yes, she was vaccinated last month. Does she need to be vaccinated again?
Yes. She needs to be vaccinated with at least 3 doses at 6, 10, and 14 weeks to be fully vaccinated, immunized, and protected against pneumonia.
Really? I just heard from afar that there will be a vaccination campaign during the African Vaccination Week, but I was not keen enough to get the details.
You know, pneumonia vaccine is effective in preventing pneumonia and deaths in infants and young children. This vaccine has just been introduced this year, 2025. A lot of children were not vaccinated. Some even travel without being vaccinated. I wouldn't want to see any child get pneumonia.
I didn't know that pneumonia is very serious, that it can cause meningitis and even death.
Yes, pneumonia is a life-threatening disease caused by bacteria or viruses. The signs are cough, fever, chills, and shortness of breath, which may be accompanied by chest pain when breathing or coughing. Children who survive may experience long-term effects on lung function and increased risk of respiratory conditions like asthma.
Asthma or lung function complication? Oh, that sounds scary. How can I protect my child from this dangerous disease?
The only way for your child to be safe is when your child and all children in your neighborhood are vaccinated with pneumonia vaccine.
I will do that immediately. Where can I take my child for this vaccine? Hope it is not late.
No, you are not late. Pneumonia vaccine and all the other routine vaccines are available at all government health centers in your areas. Tell your neighbors with children between 6 to 14 weeks to be vaccinated.
I'm glad you told me. I will take my child immediately to the nearest health center for pneumonia vaccination.
Bring your child to the nearest health center and protect them from pneumonia and other vaccine-preventable diseases. This message is brought to you by the National Ministry of Health with support from WHO, UNICEF, and South Sudan Women in Medicine.
The Sundown. For the news, views, opinion, debates, and discussions. Listen to who is who talking about issues that affect our country and continent. Only on the Sundown, your eye on South Sudan.
Indeed, your eye on South Sudan. A warm welcome back from the commercial break. Like I said, it's a high time for you now to pick that cell phone and dial our studio line 0911022986 First caller, hi radio.
Madrama.
Yes, sir. Marhab.
Yanda shukran sibit what I not known in Australia support today. Young Manila one day the environmental day.
So
when it comes to what you is very, very important. The Masalama Mangaroons in the Kana school, and the Shabab Nascobar Puluta Juga, or South and Basma, Kalamangaroons, beside or not. No, that it Kalaman is one of them, it's a victim, it's a mother manage waste stuck with a garbage with regard to so there are no minimum lakin under Nagul and Masaran under Nasa one put on the studio under Nagul got of the Kun Mohibi and Anna killing Garek and put on their own Subarabiashan Yano Nagul 85 South Sudanese too.
I shall be fine.
No boss, no English first, tomorrow calendar first. And the information talk on the boss, that is grassroots level, there's no like one should talk in Arabic and one should talk in English. Both sides will benefit from the gain. Information on the past. As an under education, over the education, direct one.
Yeah.
The one that has the command, someone students level to university. I'm not NAM, yes, Wasaka to Juba, South Sudan, office everywhere. Currently, as I'm talking, really, the level like I get Wasaka, the level again, some of the Jackie Medina. Lakin, Magale, and Nakun Wasaka, Magale, South Sudan, Juba, Wasaka, and keep part of it and Medina. Sana maro ita kutahun do ita on la do ina ku Juba entomeno dia to hella ya fi Juba na kandea kator kandea nyafuran kandea jebel kandea o budelle kandea gumbo kandea wende dia to hella antomaino suila kila wolo ni bibi smart yeli bibi Juba kunu.
Okay, shukran.
Kananna jato yes an magale taban golonu gare Rwanda ni bibi sunikida. Lakin kaman yani ana hit three countries abu kaman anna bikun nutab binumon. Yes. Anna wasaka anna everywhere. Lakin I think few countries above, we are better than them. So, tomorrow, you can it up on the student there.
Yeah, to high fi Juba ini Alshuya Nedif.
In Africa.
Hmm.
So, the country, Juba City, we fall in number country, Africa, to shop the smartness.
Shukran. Shukran jazilan. Nam dekan Joseph Mina Lobanok, that in your own assessment out of the residential areas in Juba, which one is a little bit clean? Yes, you mentioned that Rwanda is wow, but this time around, let's also live to appreciate some of those residential areas that are trying their best in terms of waste management. In your observation, which one would you give credit to? You will answer that question later. I read you. Zeima Bululu. Shukran.
Okay. Hala kami wini tu kalanta muharaba sa ustaz Anamare. Human nakit inag minum doro dua tanin de na wa kis ina doro dua tanin yaran tana da min sama da tana. Kanuman wala kana sanin. Human bani fikra ta shimata. Haja wai ata fikra farata ta kana mudata nagar na haribu muharaba ta ustaz da manzo mutuliya ta jami'a تقوم والشعب أنا مواطن هنا دور أنا كيف بديك أشياء أجمع كويس بكر بين التربة إذا الحكومة كمان بشوف طريقة رو كيف البلدر شنو تساعدنا عشان نقدر نحارب الهيئة هذا لكن الفكرة شنو داين وايد كده كان نعمله كده نعلم إذا فوقه أنا نقدر نحارب شغله. شكرا جزيلا.
شكرا. زي ما بقولوا هاي راديو.
Hi radio.
Yes sir.
How are you, my dear?
Tamam. How are you?
I'm good. I'm Madrama James.
Welcome.
Thank you. Madrama James, you went on exactly well, but I was thinking that why not for this your kid also that can summarize this thing in Arabic, give a konyo.
Yeah.
So that other community, they must know what they exactly are talking about, because the conversation is going well on, but it is at least they can summarize so that community, our foreign and even intellectuals, they should get the real information what they are talking about, because majority of South Sudan sometimes English is difficult.
Sure. Thank you.
أنا مقصود يعني هم الوضع تاجات سمه. فالcommunity بتاعنا المشكلة بتاعه عشان أننا نفهم ده كلام قبل ولد الصحيح قاعد يتكلم فيه إنه ممكن نادي يشيل قفة وده بساعد عشان إنه الانفايرمنت بتاعنا أو ويت ماتيريال كيف إنه عشان إنه نعمل مانجمنت بتاعه ده كله شغل ده responsibility ده كله لنا. لكن المشكلة بتاعنا إنجنار يا كتير لما تما بتاعنا. فيا ده كويس ومن كلام سمي لكن كل شيء على time. Everything you have the time and then كل شيء بيجي برا. We cannot give up. ناس وين نسفوه والمتما بعد شوية هي يفهم زي كلام قبل قال إنه في ناس بخلي وساطة في البيوت لما مويه جاي يلا بيجي بجدوا في الشارع عشان إنه ده يشيلوا ودي في بار ده كلام صح. والسولوشن المفروض يكون عندنا دامبينج بيت عشان إذا بافر بكرة بسيط في بيت بتاعك وبعدها الويز ماتيريال ده بيجيبوا فوقه تعرفوا لأنه المهم بتويز ماتيريال قبل ما قاعدين نتكلم فيه ده ما في زول بعرف هذا مهم بتوساطة إنه ممكن يكون مانيور وممكن يمشي كان ويرجع في يد أخوه ناس كثير ما بعرفينه.
نعم.
عشان أخوه أنا يفهم منه قبل لسه ما فهمه المفروض كله هاي زول يأفر وفر بسيط في بيت بتاعه ويقدر يقوم هو وساقه فوقه كان بيه كثير يعرض برا ثاني يجي يعمل ثاني ده بخلي لنا الانفايرمنت بتاعنا تكون شوية كويس. أما لفور الناس في البلد بتاعنا طبعا أنت شوف كله مصابة جنوب السودان قاعد يستخدم الشفل. وعشان الناس قاعد يستخدم ده الغاز ما في جنوب السودان لأنه ما عندنا كهرباء. الكثير من الناس بمشي ناس بيشيلوا اللي كان عندك فاهم. والفاهم ده خلى إنه الشجار بتاعنا قطعتي وبعد شوية بيجيب إنه ده كله ده جريمة كمان في environment. فده صعب شوية. يعني ده جرم فعلا لكن ده حكومة كمان عشان يساعد.
شكرا جزيلا engineer. Last caller for now. Hi radio.
Hi radio, how are you?
Community advisor in Medina Bor.
Yeah.
Welcome. Your question quickly to my guest.
Mine is only comment.
Go ahead quickly.
I had before the activist said it needs to raise the taxes of plastic produce or product. If they raise the taxes will be collected and they will not stop bringing them. and they will be selling at a high price.
So what do you think?
Mine is to block the plastic goods.
Oh, ban it, huh?
Yes, to ban it and to look for a battle goods. Those for battles like Uganda. In Uganda, soda for plastic is not needable in the market.
Thank you.
And plus other things. So that thing can be done by the government of South Sudan.
Thank you.
If Trump of South Sudan will do that,
Thank you.
it will be clearable for it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Community advisor is saying charging some of the household is not a solution, but rather government should take an initiative of banning these plastic waste totally. Now, we have come to the end of this very conversation. We have some other pending questions right here from our dear listener. First, Abdabi will give out also your action. What would you like the public to take? Marhaba.
Okay, shukran. Yalla gibel kola nimretnin kengali kenas amul pits yani kenas afra ufra fi betum عشان بيلكوا سكده فوقه
نعم
عشان اوغل في حاجات تانيين كان تكوتو في حفرة تدفن ده بعد زمن بيكون كويس لكروبس تاكي so حاجة بندر كلم إنه الليلة إن theme الليلة ده إنه beating plastic pollution يعني إنه بوين يسان حاجات البلاستيك I know في حاجات تانيين زي banana peels هنا وساخة تموس ده بقدر يستعمل زي مانيوا وفي حاجات تانيين كتير بقدر يستعمل زي مانيوا هنا للسويل لكن ده ما حاجة بينا بوين يسانوا لأنه بوين يسان
بس زي كريستال وشنو كده
كريستال وكيس وحاجات ده حاجات ده كانت أفرح في بيتك تدفن فوقه أجد ده بعد زمن إن شاء الله بعد زي 10 سنة كان جافو لسه بيكون فيه هناك وده حاجات اللي بيسمى تراب تبت
ويتا بمعنى شنو
عشان كده قبلنا بيكلم ما بيسيبوه في بيت ما بيدفنوا في بيتك إذا أجو كده government زي حسي جوبا سيتي كانسول كان كلهم كتو حاجات وساخة بيكون فوق وساخة ده في إيه حلة ألتكم بيلوكوا فوق وساخة ده ومن يا بيجلموا زي في أسبوع واحد أو مرتين كده
شكرا نسمون رسالة بتاكسي جينا في آخر برنامج welcome your remarks what change do you hope to see in your community
في سايد تاي ناس البيجن في هلا normally ناس كتير في جوبا هنا ومن يعني ومن باينو حاجة الزولتاني بعمل كويس كاب ده مشكلة الجنوبين الواحد يعني ومن باينو haya kanta bomun sawa ya tabamun haja alsa lakini ma kida ya jamaa wala ishara kanita ya wahid zul fi hilla kulu albamun haja kwes istemirbo mata wegif yani ita bayano zo ita haja tabamun de yalta ke biya tim yele yalta ke biga bija shino bija spread shana meta ya ita ya mabi amul lindo shino tama bi spread lakini continue wali mi yalta ke le isindo lano ita nas fi dunia de ta isindo shino ita mabija shan zoltane تبسايدو تبوري ليالتا كالدر شيلو كده شيلو المادر كمان بطريقة تو يا بيجالي غوشنو كابتو بعدين
شكرا جزيلا نعومي مرحبا
Okay.
Welcome.
It's going to be hard for me in Arabic, so I just think I will try mixing both.
Mafi mushkila, because of time you can do that. Yeah.
Okay. First of all, my final remarks is I would like to really thank the government for Hajat al they are trying to do, because the government is not only enacting policies, but they are also trying. The city council, they are already providing dustbins. They are already trying their best. But the question is now to us, the citizens, how we want to live in a clean environment. And if we want to live in a clean environment, we will have to follow what the government says, because the government is already providing for us the waste bins. They are already trying their possible ways, and I know there might be some ways that they did not try yet, but they have tried what they can today. So as we are still waiting for those other ways forward, I would like to urge the citizens that it is our environment, it is ours, it is our role and duty to keep it clean in case you want to stay in a dirty place or a very clean place. So we need to embrace the places where we are staying in. And my final message is this World Environment Day is a reminder to take action to everyone, to be responsible and work together to protect our planet for future generations. Thank you.
Thank you. We have been shedding light on World Environment Day. My guest in the studio was Ponim, a 19-year-old from South University of Science and Technology, a medical student, right? Then Desmond Kennedy, a 17-year-old UNICEF young reporter. Naomi, as well, 15-year-old climate activist. Thank you all for coming. And remember, in a special way, we'd like also to thank UNICEF for bringing all of you here. I've been your host, Madrama James. Pleasure having you all.
This is iRadio.
The iRadio.
Your eye on South Sudan.
Hello, I am Madrama James. It's 5 o'clock time for iRadio News Headline. A look at what's coming up at 7 o'clock in the news bulletin. The Minister of Information in Warabi State has confirmed that the South Sudan People's Defense Forces conducted aerial bombardment in parts of the state on Thursday morning. A regional and international envoys and representative to South Sudan have emphasized the urgent need to identify and address the root causes of the country's crisis, particularly the persistent lack of trust and confidence among the parties to the peace agreement. And President Salva Kiir Mayardit has sworn in Ambassador Bolwek Agoth